All right, so let's jump right into today's news.
Yeah, sounds good.
We've got a lot to cover. Everything from healthcare to a possible TikTok, takeover.
Definitely a busy news day for sure.
So first up, let's talk about something that hits everybody's wallets. Healthcare costs.
Yeah,
UnitedHealth Group, which is one of the big insurance companies out there.
right.
They just announced that they beat their profit expectations.
Okay.
But their revenue was a little bit less than they expected, and this is the first time this has happened in like over 4 years.
Wow.
So their stock is kind of taking a hit right now,
Yeah.
and they're pointing fingers at the drug companies saying they're the ones that are responsible for these really high prices.
Interesting. So they're basically trying to deflect the blame, saying, hey, it's not us, it's Big Pharma.
Exactly.
That's a pretty bold strategy.
Yeah. I wonder if this is going to like spark some kind of public battle over drug pricing.
Yeah, it could. We might see more transparency about costs or even some, policy changes to try and control these rising healthcare costs.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to something a little bit more fun.
Okay.
Retail therapy, Target, just revealed that they had a really great holiday season. They totally crushed their sales goals.
No, wow.
And they broke records for Black Friday and Cyber Monday.
That's impressive.
It is, especially because they had kind of a disappointing third quarter. So this is a pretty big comeback for them.
So what do you think their secret was?
Well, they definitely had some good online deals and in-store promotions.
Okay.
Maybe people are just feeling a little bit better about the economy too, and they're willing to spend a little more.
That makes sense.
The question is, can they keep this going, after the holidays are over?
Right. Can they maintain this momentum?
We'll see. Now let's talk about tech.
Yeah.
AI is proving that it's not just hype.
Yeah.
Infosys, which is a huge company in the outsourcing world, they just raised their sales forecast for the third time this year.
Wow.
And they're saying that a big part of this is because of AI. Yeah, clients are really interested in their AI services. Seems like AI is here to stay.
I think you're right. This could be the beginning of a global AI boom, changing the way we work and do business.
It's pretty exciting and kind of scary at the same time.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's earnings season for banks, and we're seeing a mixed bag of results so far.
Oh, okay.
Bank of America is doing really well. Their profits more than doubled compared to last year.
Wow.
What's driving that? It seems like investment banking and interest income are the big factors there.
Okay.
And PNC Financial's also doing pretty good. Their profits doubled too, and their revenue went up by 4%.
Not bad.
But not all banks are doing so great. U.S. Bancorp, they beat expectations, but their revenue only increased by 3.7%.
So it's not a total slam dunk for the whole sector.
Right. It seems like there's some, underlying stuff going on, and we'll need to see more reports from other banks to get a clearer picture.
Makes sense.
Okay, let's talk about something that's been getting a lot of attention. Diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI. Despite some, changes in the political world, it doesn't look like DEI is going away anytime soon.
Interesting.
Yeah. There's this fund manager who specifically invests to punish companies that are, doing DEI stuff.
Oh.
And he's saying that these companies are not backing down.
Wow. So even with potential political headwinds, they're sticking to their commitment to social responsibility.
Yeah. Seems like DEI is here to stay.
Good.
Let's move on to something a little more luxurious.
Okay.
The European luxury goods sector, which has been kind of struggling lately, it's suddenly doing really well.
Oh, wow. That's a big turnaround.
I know, right? Richemont, which owns Cartier and a bunch of other high-end brands, they just reported their best quarterly sales ever.
Really?
Yeah, they totally blew past expectations.
So what do you think is behind this? Is it a sign that the global economy is bouncing back, or are the ultra-wealthy just, not worried about the same things as the rest of us?
It's a good question. Maybe it's a bit of both.
Yeah, could be.
Okay, let's jump back into the world of tech. The CEO to TikTok is apparently going to President Trump's inauguration next week. And this is happening while there's still all these threats of a TikTok ban in the U.S. because of security concerns.
Oh, right. I forgot about that.
So this meeting could be like a last-ditch effort to save the platform.
Makes sense. They need to address those concerns head-on if they want to avoid a ban.
Yeah, the stakes are high, not just for TikTok, but for the future of social media and data privacy in general.
Definitely something to keep an eye on.
And there's another tech development that's pretty interesting.
What's that?
There's this new trading platform called Dub,
Oh,
and they're taking a page from TikTok's playbook.
how so?
They're launching a creator program where everyday investors get paid to share their portfolios online.
Interesting. So is this like the future of investing, or is it just going to lead to a bunch of risky decisions based on hype?
It's hard to say. Maybe it'll be both.
Yeah, I could see that happening.
It definitely raises some questions about, the influence of social media on financial decisions.
For sure. Something to watch closely.
All right, let's shift gears to politics.
Yeah.
President Trump has chosen Scott Bessent to be his Treasury Secretary.
Okay.
And Bessent has been testifying before the Senate, talking about his views on things like tariffs and the dollar.
So we're getting a glimpse into President Trump's economic priorities for his second term.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what Bessent does in this role.
Definitely.
And on the cannabis front, there's a big push for federal legalization.
Oh, really?
Yeah. A bunch of major cannabis companies like Cresco Labs and Trulieve, they've teamed up to create this group called the U.S. Cannabis Roundtable.
Okay.
And their goal is to lobby for legalization under this new administration.
So they're hoping President Trump will change his mind about legalization.
It seems like this is a pretty powerful group of companies, so they might have some influence.
We'll see.
And in other news, the space race is still heating up. Blue Origin, which is Jeff Bezos' space company.
Right.
They just launched their massive new Glenn rocket for the first time.
Wow, how did it go?
Well, it reached orbit, which is a big accomplishment,
That's awesome.
but it missed its booster landing.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, but it's still a major step for Blue Origin. And it shows that they're serious about competing in the private space race.
For sure. The competition is fierce.
Speaking of competition, the energy markets are pretty interesting right now.
What's going on?
Oil prices recently hit a 4-month high, but they've dipped a bit because there's talk of a possible ceasefire between Israel and Hamas.
So if that happens, it could ease some of the concerns about global oil supplies?
Exactly. But nothing's for sure yet. So the market is still kind of volatile.
Right. Makes sense.
It's amazing how much is happening in the news right now.
I know, right? It's hard to keep up sometimes.
We've got healthcare battles, AI breakthroughs, political shakeups, and even some space exploration.
It's a lot to take in.
One thing that really got me thinking is that new trading platform, Dub, where people get paid to share their investment ideas.
Oh, yeah. That's an interesting one.
It makes you wonder, is investing going to become like another social media trend?
It's a possibility. Could be good, could be bad.
Yeah, it's definitely something to keep an eye on.
For sure. It's wild how all these stories connect, Like the UnitedHealth Group thing.
Right, where they're trying to blame Big Pharma for high healthcare costs. It's like they're
Right.
trying to spin the story.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder who's really calling the shots in healthcare. Is it the insurance companies or the drug companies, or are people starting to demand more, control over their healthcare?
Yeah, like what does this all mean for our insurance premiums?
That's the real question.
Okay, but let's switch gears for a second. Target had a pretty amazing holiday season.
Yeah, they did.
What do you think about their strategy? Did they just get lucky, or was there something more to it?
I think it was a combination of things. They had those big discounts and they made it really easy to shop online and in stores. And maybe people were just feeling a bit more, optimistic about the economy.
Maybe. So could this be a sign of an economic recovery?
That's the big question. We'll have to wait and see.
Speaking of big questions, President Trump is back in the game, and he's already shaking things up.
Yeah, his pick for Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. That's definitely got people talking.
Bessent's background is in hedge funds and global finance, so it seems like Trump might be going for a more market-driven approach this time around.
Interesting. It's definitely a different vibe from his first term.
What do you think this means for investors? Should we be expecting some big changes?
Well, Bessent's a smart guy, but it's too early to say how his policies will actually play out.
I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Exactly.
Speaking of waiting and seeing that cannabis lobby group, the U.S. Cannabis Roundtable, they're really pushing for legalization.
Do you think they have a chance with this administration?
It's a long shot,
Mm-hmm.
but the cannabis industry has been gaining a lot of momentum lately. And this is a pretty powerful group of companies, so they might be able to sway some opinions.
I guess anything is possible.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about something completely different space.
Right.
Blue Origin's rocket launch. It reached orbit, but missed the booster landing. What's your take on that?
Well, space travel is risky business. Even the smartest people make mistakes. I think the important thing is that they learn from these experiences and keep pushing the boundaries.
And with companies like Blue Origin and the SpaceX leading the way, it seems like the future of space exploration is in good hands.
It's definitely an exciting time.
Now, back down to Earth. Oil prices are still on everyone's minds.
Right.
That potential ceasefire between Israel and Hamas could really help stabilize things. But, peace is a fragile thing.
Absolutely. One little spark could send those oil prices skyrocketing again.
And that would have a ripple effect on everything from gas prices to the cost of groceries.
Exactly. It's a reminder that we're all connected in this global economy.
It is. And speaking of connections, let's go back to that new trading platform Dub for a minute.
Yeah, the one where you get paid to share your investment picks.
Right. Is this the future of investing or just a recipe for disaster?
I think it's a bit of both. It could give more people access to investing, but it also could lead to a lot of bad decisions based on, hype and social media trends.
And what about the ethics of it all? Is it okay for financial decisions to be influenced by social media?
That's a really good question. We're entering a whole new world here, and we need to be careful.
It feels like we're living in a science fiction movie sometimes, with all this technology and social media changing everything so quickly.
I know what you mean. It's a lot to keep up with.
But that's why we're here to help you make sense of it all.
Exactly. Because knowledge is power, especially in a world like this.
So as we wrap up today's deep dive, one thing keeps coming back to me, change.
Yeah.
It's everywhere, like from healthcare to how we invest.
It's true. It can feel like a lot sometimes, right?
It definitely can. But, there's also a lot of opportunity in all this change.
I agree with that.
Like take AI, for example.
Right.
It's going to transform so many industries.
Absolutely.
And yeah, some jobs might go away, but it'll create new ones too.
And it could solve problems we haven't even thought of yet.
Exactly. So it's not about being afraid of change. It's about understanding it.
Yeah, and harnessing its power.
And that starts with staying informed.
And being critical of what we read and hear.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And having these kinds of conversations.
Right, talking about these issues and figuring out what they mean for us.
So as we go about our day, let's think about all the stuff we talked about today.
Yeah. What stood out to you? What surprised you?
Right, and what questions are we left with?
Because the news is more than just headlines,
It is.
It's a reflection of what's happening in the world.
And if we understand what's happening,
then we can actually be a part of shaping the future.
Well said. So until next time, stay curious, keep asking questions.
And remember, the deep dive never really ends.
That's right. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.